got some business to take care of. See you later.
Women.
You look like you've got something to say.
I have something to ask you. But I don't think I'll get a straight answer. Raccoon City. You know, after the incident, the world changed. You try to save one person, 100 others die. I guess I changed too.
You? Leon S. Kennedy. You haven't changed. You just think you have.
So here's my question. Have you changed, Ada? Or are you just trying to use me again?
What do you think? We're here. Don't think too hard, handsome. See you later.
Story of my life.
I hate to break it out to you, but Salazar's dead.
Yes, it seems that way.
Sadler, why don't you give up and let Ashley go home?
Perhaps you are disillusioned with overconfidence, just because you killed my small-time subordinate.
Sadler, you're small time.
Oh. Writhe in my cage of torment, my friend.
Look at all these busy bees. Better watch my step if I don't want to get stung. Spotlights. Let's avoid those. Ashley. There you are. Idari. Right. Damn it! rocket launcher? This isn't good. Sorry, must have slipped. Shit, my body already. Not bad, right?
Trágate esto.
Next.
Come back anytime.
Out of the way. Doesn't look like I can get in through here. Need to find another way.
have something I think you like. Don't get yourself killed now.
It's locked.
Ashley. Amateurs. Just hang in there, Ashley. I'm coming for you.
Ashley! Ashley! Come on, Ashley, wake up! Shit!
Hang in there.
Got some rare. What are you buying? Is that all? Thank you.
Not bad, right? Break already. experiments are they doing here? Are you? Do anything? Again? Come on, it's taking so long.
Card overwrite.
Need a key card. Coming. a wrench to get this open. This thing is controlled by bugs. Wait here.
Okay.
It's go time.
This is Leon. Request backup. I repeat, request backup. Damn.
Roost, come in. Things went to shit. We took refuge inside a castle, but I've just been separated from Baby Eagle.
You.
Roost, you're breaking up. Do you read me?
What? Chopper.
Damn it. So much for that.
Welcome. Gotta select. What are you buying? Is that all, stranger? Is that all? Thank you. Is that all, stranger? Thank you. Is that all, stranger? Thank you. Come back anytime.
Son of a bitch.
Card. Overwrite complete.
Out of the way. Next.
Leon.
You okay? Come on, let's get out of here.
You're gonna be okay.